Welcome back everyone. I'm just halfway through this service on this lovely Cruz bike. Part of the job is actually fitting a set of SRAM Maven brakes. So I thought I'll pull this section out of the main video, do a little video for you and putting these on. So let's have a look what we got to do. So a quick look what's in the box. These are silvers, front and rear, pre-bled, with spacers, etc. Everything you need is basically in the box. There are rotors as well, I've got those separately. As your lever, everything is pre-bled on this system. However, the rear brake, we're going to have to cut it and re-bleed that. That's no problem. So you get a matchmaker clamp in there, some hardware, new olive, new barb, and a post-mount adapter should you need it, with some bolts obviously. So everything is in there. Exactly the same on the rear, post-mount adapter, bleed block, everything you need basically. And a pair of 200mm rotors as well, so let's get going. Front brake will just bolt literally straight on. We're not bleeding this. I'm hoping the hose is a sensible length. So let's just get this thrown on. Should be 2 minutes. If you took a set of brakes off, this is pretty much going to be a reversal of that really. There's your lever. You need obviously your bracket for that, which is this one here, and we have a shifter going onto this one. T25 for this here. Let's get it on the bike. This is not difficult, this bit, guys. Just loosely start that thread and we'll chuck it on the bar. So we are in the UK. Front brake, it goes on the right hand side. I had a comment the other day shouting at me, "You put the brakes on the wrong side." Chill out guys, this is the law in the UK. This is the side they go on, okay? Just gonna very loosely nip this up at the moment. I'm dropping this down to the fork. Just get this through the guide on the fork. Just loosely bolt this in, don't clamp this down yet because we're not sure how much hose we have to get down to the actual caliper. So I think we need this adapter, I'm not entirely sure, but if not, we'll just take it back off. It takes 2 seconds for a 200mm disc. I think this fork is set for 180. If we don't need it, we can easily take it off. I'll drop the brake through the inside of the fork. We'll go on there. Just loosely bolting this on first, because obviously we've got to centre everything up and a few other bits and pieces first, but just get it somewhere close. Obviously make sure the hose is running on the inside of the fork. You don't want it down this side. It's got to go on the inside there. In case basically you're riding past something and it catches on this hose and rips your brake hose off. So don't do that guys. So the hose length on that one looks absolutely great, and certainly not trimming that one. So we can tighten this down. You don't need to be very tight. It's only a little bit of plastic guys. It's not holding your fork together. That's enough. Okay. That's the front one basically on. So on the rear brake we need to cut the hose and thread it in from the rear. On Cruz it's pretty straightforward, they are fully lined inside. When I took the old one out, I just put a little drop of lube on the hose as it pulled through, so it'll lubricate that line in. So the new one just come through dead easy. Like I say, I've got to cut this hose off at the lever to get it through the frame. So just pull this back here. There's access to your hose. We're just going to cut this here, fit a new barb and olive when we get back to the lever. So let's do that. Obviously this is a mineral system now, so we're not flicking DOT fluid all over the place when we're dealing with these hoses, so it's not too bad. So let's get this threaded through. And now we find out if the internet's been lying to me. It should in theory just go all the way through and out the other side of the seat today. Sounds promising. There she is. There it is. Alright, that's the first bit done. I'm just going to pull this through so it's somewhere close to where it needs to be. And again, just going to very loosely bolt this in place just to stop it smashing around and damaging the paint at the moment. We might need an adapter. Again, there's one supplied. Just loosely bolt it on. And the other piece of the hose should just go in here and out the top here. Thank you, Cruz. That's what you like. What I'd like to know, is there a database anywhere that tells you which manufacturers do the job properly like this and which ones expect you to have the worst day in the workshop ever? If anyone knows there's such a database, then please let us all know, because I think that'd be really useful information. Alright, that's through. That's through. You do want a bit of slack in here. Right, it says the rear hose there. Obviously this is too long. We're only going up to here. A little bit on the long side. I'll get the lever somewhere where we need to be and we can look at trimming that. Obviously because we have cut the hose, we are going to need to bleed at least the lever. So we have a bleed kit. So let's get this somewhere close. Going to get the grips on now because these bars have just been cut down to 750, so we know they're the right size. Give these a good whack. Tighten them up, 2 Newton meters. Well, we can get this front lever into its final position now because we're not bleeding this one. We haven't touched the system when it comes fully pre-bled, obviously. Well, not obviously, but it does, which is nice. We've got a block in the caliper so you can actually give it a squeeze. Let's get the lever somewhere close to where it needs to be. Matching the other side, a couple of mil there. This sort of angle. We'll need to change this angle when we bleed it anyway. So what you need to, the essential bit is you need to make sure you can turn your bars through 90 degrees and not put too much tension on this. So let me show you. So this is going to be the tightest way, like that. Obviously that's too tight, you can see that tension on that hose now. And the bar needs to be able to go pretty much all the way around. I mean, if you got this far around, you got big issues, but you need to have some slack to be able to accommodate that. So that there is going to be pretty much about right. And just mark it up when you're happy with that. So when you're confident that's going to be acceptable, trim the hose. This is a Jaguar cutter. There's many different types out there. Don't forget to slide this back on your hose first before you do anything else. Just get it out of the way for now, right down there. It's fine. And then we need to put a new barb and olive in this. And to give you new ones anyway, because they're expecting you to have to cut this down. So this literally just screws in. They even give you the tool to do it. So once it gets flush with the end of the hose, just stop. You don't need to keep going. All you do is just strip the plastic out inside. And that's it. Done. So this is 8mm. Use a flare nut wrench if you've got one. You probably get away with just a normal one, but just undo that. It shouldn't be super tight. I mean, that's from the factory. You see how untight that was. Unscrew this. And that's it, basically. Yes, this is a silver one. Silver is OEM, red is retail, basically. Pull that off. Keep this piece here, don't lose that. So once you took that out of the lever, before you put the red bit on, drop that onto the hose as well. Then this literally just screws on there with a left-hand thread, just until it stops. That's it. Really, you don't need a spanner or anything, it just screws on and will sit pretty much flush with that. It is allowed to protrude by 0.5mm, 0 to 0.5. That is pretty much exactly where it needs to be, and that will go into the lever now. They ask you for a tiny drop of grease on here for installation. And then just start this in. Don't squeeze your lever at the moment, obviously, because you've got a pretty much open, well, you've got an open system at the moment, so until this is connected up, don't press that lever. Putting grease on there stops this hose twisting around as you try and tighten this up basically as well, so it definitely helps. And we just need to torque this up. So it's 8 Newton meters spec for this. If you're using a torque wrench, you must use this at 90 degrees. Don't use it like that and then torque it, because that's not 8 Newton meters. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I very rarely torque these. I just stop when they feel they're tight enough, but I'll show you the right way to do it. Okay, just wipe up any fluid. We are, again, I'll remind you, we're on mineral fluid. All we're doing is basically moisturising the brake lever with baby oil. A bit more technical than that, but you get the idea. It's not melting any paint, don't worry. Slip that back on, and that's that trimmed. So we do need to bleed this lever. A few other bits to do first there. Just going to throw the wheel back in to see if we do need a spacer on this. The bike was running 200s before on the older SRAM brakes, so I don't think we do, but we'll just check. I've got no shock on this bike at the moment, hence the back end's a bit wobbly. This is a 200. We're putting a new one on, which is also a 200 though, so this is the right size rotor. So what you're looking for here is making sure the pads are contacting all of the rotor. Otherwise, if this rotor is basically sitting sort of 3 or 4mm below the top of the pad, you're going to end up with a massive lip on your pad. So just sweep this around, turn that, and because of the shape of this rotor, it basically fluctuates up and down, and it will clear all of this pad during one rotation. So this is fine. It certainly doesn't need a spacer. Actually, while the wheel's in, I'm just going to centre the caliper. You're looking for daylight through this way, either side of the rotor, on both sides. We have got to massage the pistons, etc., but this should be pretty close. And again, we've got new rotors going on, so let's come this way on this side. If you shine a torch from underneath, you'll see the gap from the rotor and the pads, basically pretty straightforward. So this side needs to come over to around about there. What I'm doing there is literally loosening that, and I'm literally pulling it with my finger very, very gently like that, just to get the alignment right. As I say, we may need to revisit this still after we've done the piston massage, etc., but I should be about right. Looking pretty chunky there, aren't they? This is coming back out to change the rotor. I'll put the front wheel back in and see again, check the adapter on there, and then we'll look at bleeding this back one here, and then the piston massage, and then we'll get them bedded in. So the front wheel's in. This is the old rotor wheel. I'll put a new one on. But again, we're just checking this adapter, see if it needs it or not. And so I've just checked through there again, as I did with the back one. And we are clearing the full rotor, so that's good. So we can tighten all this up. All right, so we can just drop this wheel back out now. We're done with that for now. Yeah, the adapter's the right place. Got to change this rotor. We've got to do the piston massage thing that they want you to do. Just before we continue, a quick pause in the build to say thank you to Sport and Leisure for sponsoring this video. So when you're in the middle of a job, the last thing you want is progress to come to a grinding halt, because the part that you ordered, it said it was in stock, wasn't actually in stock. Half the time, it's not even in the same country. So that's why I use Sport and Leisure. They're UK based, their stock levels are live. The website says it's on the shelf. It really is on the shelf, ready to go. Order before 3 PM and it will ship the same day with free delivery on all UK orders. Next day delivery is only £2.50, which is a no-brainer when you're trying to keep the work moving, honestly. So they've also updated the discount scheme for the channel. If you head over to sportandleisure.com/BCR or scan the QR code on the screen right now, it will generate a unique voucher for 10% off at checkout on your first order. If you're buying parts anyway, it's an easy saving. The link's down below, and massive thanks again to sportandleisure.com for continuing to support their channel. Let's crack on with this. So with the piston massage thing, basically you want to put this thinner end in first, and this will clip in as well. Like that, and then you just pump your lever until the lever travel stays the same. Like that. Pull this back out. And then you're pushing the sticker end in to push the pistons back out, and you repeat this 3 or 4 times. What you're doing really is making sure all the pistons are travelling evenly. Right, so that's push them back out again. And then you repeat that. Squeeze away. I just have to mention that Shimano don't ask you to do this. Flip it around, push it in. Put it back in. Make sure your gloves are clean, by the way, these are fresh gloves. Clip it back in, repeat. So you're looking for even travel on all these pistons basically, but it's going to be hard to get a camera in there to show you, but I'm going to just check. They all look pretty good to me. They're all moving. They're all moving equally. Looks really good. You've got a part tool pad spreader, I guess you could use that at the same instead. Just give me a bit more leverage on there. Push them back in. We're just looking for all these pistons to move evenly, top and bottom. There's 4 pistons, obviously. Good. I'm just going to put this back in temporarily. Because we have cut that hose on the lever, we're just going to give it a very quick bleed. Most of the air, if there's any, will be in just the end of the hose at the lever end. We'll just force liquid up from here, and that'll just take it straight out. Just take the pads out first. You don't want to risk contaminating those. Take this little clip off here. And it's just a 2.5mm Allen key down here. Whip these out. The pads should just pull out pretty easily. Alright. Obviously they give you a bleed block as well, so we'll just drop straight in if you can get the clearance between the mount. Like that. You can put your pin in, but to be honest I ain't going nowhere without the pin, so that's fine. And then you're on bleeding edge here, so pull this cover here to access the bleed port. It's a good fit. Like that. Crack this open with a 5mm Allen key, just a little bit, and then you tighten it up gently. So just open that and then just tighten it very, very gently like that, because you need to be able to open that with your hand on the bleeding edge tool, which is here. So that basically clips into there, and then you open and close that 5mm Allen key with this little bit here. So if you've not undone that, it just can be a bit challenging, that's all. So that will just literally clip in there, and then you can open and close the system. Brilliant bit of kit this one is, really. Need a bit more fluid in this one though. So just fill the syringe this with maximum fluid, which is what they want. Just transferring this over to this bleeding edge one they actually get with the brake. There's a bleeding edge with that kit, but this is a bit nicer, so make sure there's no air trapped in this hose here. A bit of a vacuum on it. Good. Leave that at that for now. Get one on the brake lever. Contact point needs to be all the way out, so it's the opposite direction of the arrow. This is pointing that way, so I've gone this way. So that's fully open. Then you need to set this position here of the lever, 75 to 80mm. So the centre of the bar you're looking for to the tip of the lever, and that is around about 86mm, so a little bit too big there. So we just move that in. You can live with that. Then they want this lever at a 45-degree angle upwards for the bleed. So I'll just take this port out first there. Take this out, and again the system is open. Keep that somewhere. Obviously we've got the system open now, so just try and keep it clean. Screw this in. Like that, just be careful with that. Open this up. Like I say, the only piece of air we've got really is in this hose here where we've cut it. This is bled, caliper's bled, so if anything's been introduced, it's literally in this section here. So I'm going to push it up from the back and you'll just see 1 or 2 bubbles here. Just going to crank the angle of this lever up first there. Also, you probably get away with, normally with a hose chop, you normally get away without even doing this, to be perfectly honest with you, especially on Shimano. But let's give it a go, see if anything comes out. So both of them, I'll just open the bleeding edge at the back, half turn or so, and we just push this through. This is obviously open. There you go. Actually quite a bit in there. And that's clear now from the back. So I'm just going to close the bleeding edge. In this case of pulling a vacuum on this ever so slightly and then pressurising the system, so just pulling this ever so slightly just to get rid of that, and then I'm going to pressurise it again. Repeat that. That lever is rock solid, flipping it. So just flicking this lever now. That lever feels absolutely rock solid though. Right, I'll give this another quick vacuum. Just keep going like this, in and out, very gently, until you're happy that there's no more air coming out. Pressurise that. Lever flicky thing. I'm going to drop the position of this lever as well, just so we're covering all angles of it in a minute. Right, there's still air coming out of there. Pressurise. Pull, nothing there this time. Pressurise, pull, pressurise, let go. Lever flicky, pull, pressurise. Plenty in there still, isn't there? Right, we're getting there. So I'm just going to loosen this off and we're going to rotate this through a few angles just to make sure it's happy. I'm going to go all the way down. Again, vacuum out. Really not much in there now. Pressurise it back in. There's literally not moving at all now. And again, just repeat that. Pulling that now. Pretty much nothing in there. Pressurise. Get the lever level. Pressurise. Vacuum that. Nothing in there now. And again, all the way back. I'm going to go all the way back this time. Look. Again, pulling that out. Nothing there. Right, happy with that. So we can take this out and get the plug back in. And clean that up. Get this in. Okay. Bit of isopropyl alcohol on this. Every manufacturer's got their own colour. Is it all the same fluid? Probably not, but stick to the manufacturer's recommendation, especially if you've got any sort of warranty on. He's obviously brand new, so if you send it back and it's full of red fluid, that's going to be questions asked. Technically, it probably worked perfectly well, but I couldn't recommend that. Right, happy with that. So now we can set this lever back to where it was, about 4 clicks out. That's on the bleed block there, that is rock solid. Bleeding edge is close, this will just pull out now, like that. Just check with your Allen key that it's tight, don't go crazy with it, that's sealed. Job done. Now put the pads in, take this bleed block out, put the pads in. Drop your pads back in, these tabs here go at the front, otherwise they catch on here. Again, make sure your gloves are clean. That'll drop in there. Drop this pin back through. And this pin don't need to be very tight, it's not holding the calipers together, remember? There's only a thread this side, not this side, so it's not actually physically pulling anything together. It's literally just a safety clip. And look how tight I'm doing it. That's it. Drop this clip on. That done. Right, we're just going to do the piston massage. I'm just going to do that off camera. It's exactly the same as the front. Wedge it in, squeeze your lever, repeat. Or you could just use this bit of plastic. Just a case of changing these rotors over now. Like I say, we're basically a straight swap, exactly the same rotor going on. And these actually do look in pretty good condition, but she's paid for them, so we're getting new ones on. So the wheel's back in the bike with a fresh rotor, just squeezing this lever just to get the pads to where they want to be. And that lever feels really, really nice, solid. And then they rub in. Good. So once they're all fitted, bled, massage, whatever, we've just got to bed them in. So I'm fortunate enough to have a proper bedding in machine. A lot of you won't have that, so you'll need to follow SRAM's recommendations on the road. But for this one, I'm using this beauty. So I've shown this on quite a few of my other videos. I've done a video just about this actually, where it's fantastic bit of kit, just of bedding in rotors. So it basically goes through a preset program. There's 3 different programs for whatever size rotor you've got, however many pistons you've got, and it beds the brake in. Basically a sort of mini dyno, but a lot more high tech than that. So if you want to see more, I have done a separate video just about this. Fantastic bit of kit, honestly. Very expensive, but really, in my opinion, most bike shops should definitely have this. Right, so we are on 200mm rotors. Regular 4 piston, so they've got Ice Tech 4 piston or regular 4 piston. So we're going to go with program A. Program A, and we'll do the front wheel first. And I'll fast forward to it because it's quite noisy. Right, so we just roll it on and watch it do its magic. You won't be able to see much, to be honest, but it's just bedding the brakes in. That's the front one done. Swap over to the back wheel, exactly the same process. Oh, job done. I feel good. Whew, yeah. One fingertip locking that up now. And we're done. These feel absolutely awesome on the lever. Rock solid, they are really, really nice. Bedded in, all done. And guess what? That's the first set of Mavens I've ever done. Never had any in the workshop before. Done loads of other brakes, obviously Shimano, old SRAM, Maguire's, Clark's, I've done everything. The first set of Mavens in the workshop. Were they any different? No, not really. If you've done any work before on hydraulic brakes, you'd be able to fit these. Piece of cake, no problem at all. All you gotta do is your little piston massaging malarkey. Front brake is plug and play, you don't even need to trim the hose. Back hose, give it a quick trim, grab a bleed kit, and you're just taking that bit of air out there. Maybe you don't have the fancy bedding in machine, but you can do that the old school way. But honestly, I think it makes a massive difference. These feel fantastic. I've not ridden it yet because this shock isn't actually bolted onto the frame. It's waiting for some hardware. But once that's back on, I'll give it a quick spin and see what they feel like. But my initial impressions are, yeah, they're pretty nice brakes actually. They do feel really rock solid. They look good and they're not dot fluid anymore. So yeah. So I know there's quite a lot of other tutorials out there for Mavens, but I tried to make it something a bit more down to earth rather than the full sort of technical and overkill. Hopefully you found it useful and easy to follow. Like I say, if you've done any hydraulic work before, you'll do this absolutely no problem. If you want to see the video with the rest of this bike in, I think it's out by now by the time you're watching this video. So it's been an hour-long sort of special. It's a big video chopping 3 bikes into one basically. So yeah, it's quite involved. And if you did enjoy the content, you want to see more of this sort of thing, then please consider hitting the subscribe button. It really does help the channel grow. Anyway, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.